Well. Let's talk about what every NBA and hoops fanatic is talking about today and probably for the last, 18 hours, 14 hours? I don't know. The San Antonio Spurs went into Oklahoma City, the defending champs, and beat them in double overtime in one of the best playoff games I have ever seen. Definitely the best playoff game I've ever seen that didn't involve my Memphis Grizzlies. Now, the thing about this one is if you watch the game, man, it kind of puts some perspective on this draft that we're going to have in about 5 weeks. There were no midgets in this game. Now, tonight we're going to get some midgets with Cleveland and New York. We're going to get Donovan Mitchell versus Jalen Brunson. The two best players on this team are smaller guys. But last night we saw what real defensive pressure looks like. When you have a bunch of 6'5" to 6'7" guards flanked by a freaking 7'4", 7'5" alien who moves like a doggone wing. Victor Wembanyama had 41 points, 24 rebounds, 3 assists, and 3 blocks last night. He was plus 16 in a game that went to double overtime. There's some lessons for the draft on this. And I think the lesson that everybody's getting really wrong is that there is no Wimby foil. There's no guy in college. There's no guy in the league that's going to be able to give trouble to Wemby. The only person that I would even consider is a healthy Giannis. Other than that, everybody's either going to be too small or too slow. It's one of the two. And everybody's already talking about, the Spurs had the 1 and 2 picks back to back. Not back to back, but they had the 1 and 2 picks. They had Wembanyama. I'm going to keep saying his name all kind of ways. But then they had Dylan Harper, who would probably go number 1 in this draft. At least he'd be in the conversation for number 1. A 6'6" guard with a 6'10" wingspan. And it looks like he is an excellent perimeter defensive player. A perfect match to Victor Wembanyama. And like somebody else says, this Spurs team is not optimized yet. You got Julian Champagne, Devin Vassell, Stephen Castle, Harrison Barnes, Keldon Johnson, Luke Cornett, Carter Bryant, and De'Aaron Fox. Those are the guys that get minutes. The Spurs have a lot of draft picks left. Thankfully, they're this good now, so they don't feel the need to hit the gas and maybe bring in another version of De'Aaron Fox right now for the next couple of seasons. But really, this is going to be something where a lot of GMs are really going to, I guess what you would like to say is, use this as a marker for how they should build their team in the future. Because, back, it used to be Shaq. Every team was trying to build a foil for Shaq. There never was one. And then people tried to contend with the Spurs, with the Golden State Warriors. And what you realize is the only thing that took down the Spurs basically was Shaq and Kobe. The thing that took down the Warriors was LeBron. The thing that gave the Warriors problems was LeBron and KD Westbrook. So nothing has changed in the NBA. Wembanyama does not change anything. The key is getting you one of those guys. You got to have one of those ones. You have to have a top 10 player. That's just simple. There's nothing changed. The NBA has been the same. I started watching the NBA when Magic Johnson came into this league. He was my favorite player until he was replaced shortly by Jordan, and then by Tim Duncan, then Dwayne Wade, and then just the Grizzlies. So there really hasn't been a player on the Grizzlies that has sustained being good enough long enough for me to want, to just really, really like them as one of my favorite players. And that is the issue the Grizzlies have had since they've been in Memphis. They haven't had one of those ones. And that's what we're looking for. The position doesn't matter. As you can see, the players I've named over this long video, it doesn't matter what position they play. Larry Bird, Jokic, Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, Kawhi Leonard, Tim Duncan, Hakeem Olajuwon, Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen. We've named Wembanyama, Kareem, Dwayne Wade. All these players, you just notice different positions, different skill sets. The missing ingredient isn't copycatting what the players' dimensions are. The wingspan, the height, the athleticism, the skill set. There is something in the mentality of one of those ones. If you're going to be one of those top 5, top 10 killer players. Now, some players are top 10 and they're just talented. And that's why I would say somebody like Kevin Durant, he's just talented. But the killer mentality is what sets those guys apart. You have to get somebody who is a real certified killer. And that's what sets Wembanyama apart. I'm just going to call him Wimby. That's what sets Wemby apart. He is not only 7'5", he is not only highly skilled, he is not just smart. He wants to kill his opponent every time he goes on the court. And that is the missing ingredient. And you will see a lot of players have talent, but there's not too many players that really want to kill. And the thing about it is, and I will say this all the time, every team that gets good enough to make the playoffs, they have what you would call an alpha personality on that team. Now, with the Grizzlies, next gen, we all thought it was Ja. But really, the alpha personality on that team was Dillon Brooks. And I will say this until I'm blue in the face. I believe this to my heart. The thing that really, really killed next gen was that Christmas game where Klay Thompson just eviscerated Dillon Brooks and embarrassed him. That when your alpha gets killed like that, it is shocking for everybody else. That's why I think it's going to be very interesting to see the San Antonio, Oklahoma City series. Thank God it's a series, because you've seen this set up all season. Obviously, Wemby hates the Thunder. He hates Chet with a passion that cannot even be defined. And I know it comes from international play, but I don't know why it's like it's something that he's focused on. But last night, they really took it to the two-time MVP, Shea. And I've told people in the group chat that, hey, I think Shea's going to bounce back the next game, blah, blah, blah. But if they take it to Shea another game, oh, man, it's going to be hard to recover from that. It's like you just can't. It's just something about that when a team sees that guy on their team just get totally disemboweled on a public stage in the playoffs in critical situations and doesn't come back and rectify it. Sometimes you just don't know. That kills the team. But like I say, it's a 7-game series for a reason. Game 1 is just game 1. Oklahoma City could easily go on and win 4 in a row. And we're talking about them as one of the greatest teams of all time. And Shea being one of the greatest players of all time. But there's also a reality where they get swept. There's also a reality where they just lose the series. And I'm just going to tell you, this is the NBA. Nothing is guaranteed in the NBA. I don't care how good your team is, how young your team is, how good your superstar is. There, every single year, all across the world, there are young men training in the gym every day to try to take your spot. Guys you don't even know, guys you've never heard of, they're trying to take your spot. Who would have guessed it? Who would have guessed 4 years ago that next gen would be done, that Ja Morant would have 1 foot out of the NBA? Who could have guessed that? 4 years, that's all it took. 4 years, he went from one of the hottest, most popular players in the NBA to 1 foot out of the league. Next gen, broken up, one of the most exciting young teams in the league, who was winning, who was the second best team in the league in 21 and won 56 games in 22. This team was the up and coming. Man, we had time. We were going to have a long run. But nothing in this league is promised to you. And I mean, that's just the way it is. So when it comes to that series, if you're a Hoops fan, set your clock. Watch those games from beginning to end, because this is going to be like one of the best entertainment values you're going to get this year. I don't know what the NBA Finals is going to promise, and I am very doubtful it's as competitive as the Western Conference Finals. But we shall see. Like I said, this Western Conference Finals gives you some good food for thought for what you should be trying to get out of this draft, how you should build your team, where the NBA is heading, a lot of stuff. So y'all let me know. What do you think? Did you watch the game last night? Did you have some pause on certain things in the draft? Because, that's where we are as Grizzly fans. We're thinking about the draft. You got the draft coming up, Summer League. Man, Summer League's just 45 days away, y'all. Utah Summer League is 45 days away. We get to open our present up. You know, we get to see it under the tree when the draft happens, but we get to open up our present up and we get to see, does this guy fit in the NBA? Because the one thing about the draft, man, no matter how good it looks in college, how much hype it gets, how much everybody agrees that this guy is next, when they get to the NBA, things change, and you just never know.